Good morning. How many of you have a bulletin today? Let me see them. I'll give you time. There we go. Hey, we're getting better. Bit by bit, thank you. How many of you have read what I was saying? Okay, there we go. We have a hand. That's good. That's good. All right. How many of you usually are here to hear the Trisagion hymn? Bravo, Vasily. You can't miss it. It's the choir. They sing, Hagios Theos. Right? It's the beginning of the service, technically. It's where the beginning of the service used to be. You know, we've spent all of this time talking about the Divine Liturgy. Well, now we finally have gotten past the prelude, and we've gotten to the beginning. So, hooray! Now we're at the beginning. This is the point after which, if you come to church and you don't hear the Trisagion, congratulations, you're late. It's a joke. You're allowed to laugh. Come on, we know. It's hard to get up Sunday morning, and it's hard to come to church. But this is technically the point that we should be shooting for. This is why we aim for 10 o'clock, because if we're a little bit late, then at least we're here before the Trisagion starts, because this is the beginning of the liturgy. And this hymn is important because this is the most that we know about the worship of God that goes on within the heavenly kingdom. Sometimes in the domes we depict the worship of the angels. We don't do that so much here. We just show the angels surrounding Christ, right? But sometimes we show Christ celebrating the liturgy in heaven with the angels surrounding him in glory. And all of this comes from the vision of Isaiah. So I'll read it. It's impressive. It sticks in your mind what he says. He says, in the year that King Uzziah died, I saw the Lord sitting on a throne high and lifted up. High and lifted up, as he is sitting on the throne on the lap of the Panagia, yes? The house was full of his glory. This is why our churches are beautiful, because they should be full of the glory of God. And around him stood the seraphim, and there they are. Each one had 6 wings. With 2 he covered his face, with 2 he covered his feet, and with 2 he flew. And the one seraphim cried to the other and said, Holy, 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 Agios, Agios, Agios is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory. And the lintel, the doors, were lifted up by the voice of those who cried out. They cried so loud that the ground shook. Even with the big microphone, I can't make the ground shake, can I? Not so much. And the house was full of smoke. So I said, what? Yeah, pretty cool. Think I'll sit back and watch. Yeah? Then Isaiah says, then I said, woe is me. Which is how you say, oh dear, I am in trouble. If you're 3,000 years old, right? Woe is me, because I am pierced to the heart, for I am a man with unclean lips, and I dwell in the midst of a people of unclean lips, and I have seen the King, the Lord of hosts, with my eyes. Right? Have you ever seen something you thought you shouldn't have seen? Not because it was bad, but because it was too good for you to see? Can you imagine, though, seeing something that you're not worthy of seeing? This is what Isaiah says. He's just watching. No one's asking him to do anything. And he says, woe is me. And he covers his eyes. How can I see this? I am seeing God. Shouldn't be able to do that. I am a sinful man. And then one of the angels, one of the seraphim, the seraphim, was sent to me. He had a live coal in his hands, which he took with tongs, or maybe with a spoon. Are you seeing the connection here? He took the coal with tongs from the altar, and he touched my mouth. And he said, behold, this has touched your lips. Your lawlessness is taken away, and your sin is cleansed. And I heard the voice of the Lord saying, who shall I send? And who will go to this people? And I said, behold, here am I. Send me. And this is how Isaiah gets to be a prophet, yes? Right. Now, why do we talk about this? Because if we're looking at what we do in the church, we're looking at what they do in heaven. This is what we say. We come into the church and we say, standing in the temple of your glory, we feel that we are in heaven. It's right on the wall. See? And if we're in heaven, then we are participating in the worship of God, in this worship. And that's why we begin with the holy, 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 holy God, holy mighty, holy immortal, Agios Theos, Agios Iskiros, Agios Athanatos, right? Holy God, holy mighty, holy immortal, have mercy on us. Did Father Filimo never do this? He had better muscles than me anyway. Okay. So, if we start there, and what does the priest do while the choir sings that? Anyone notice? One of the altar boys, what do you have to remember? When the choir starts singing Agios Theos, I make a little motion. I want the what? The censer. I want the censer. Because it says, while they were singing, the house was filled with smoke. So we sense, we make a smoke to fill the house of the Lord with glory. And then we go on, and then what happens? When we say the communion prayers and we talk about how we are imperfect and unclean, and what does the priest do? I'm not a seraphim. I have a seraphim to help me, but I am not a seraphim, but I bring with a spoon from the altar a live coal, the body and blood of the Lord. And we all say when we receive communion, behold, this has touched my lips, and the Lord takes away my sins, and all of my uncleanness is covered, is washed away. This is what we're doing. What Isaiah saw long before Christ came, this is what we do every Sunday. And sometimes because we do it every Sunday, we get a little bored, right, Dimitri? A little bored and distracted, and we want to do other things? Yes, I know. But it's important that we remember, this is what is happening in heaven. When we come into the church, we become the helpers, the assistants of the angels. All of us, not just the priest, not just the altar boys, although the altar boys dress in their robes because it symbolizes the same clothes that the angels wear, right? But all of us who are here, we are participating in this worship of God, which is to see Him, to recognize that we are not worthy to see Him, to ask for Him to cleanse us, and to receive the gift of God. So, this is a little bit complicated. I don't expect you to remember all of it, but remember what Isaiah saw. If you remember nothing else, he says, I saw God high and lifted up, and the whole house was full of His glory. That's what we are doing. On a practical note, some of the younger kids, I want to ask you, when you take communion, you have a habit. Not an awful habit, but not a good habit. I put the spoon in your mouth, and you go, you close your mouth, and you turn away in the same motion. Now the older kids, you know, I put the spoon in your mouth, and you close your mouth, and you wait for me to take the spoon out. But some of you, I put the spoon in your mouth, and you turn away. Wait a little bit. You're not in a hurry, okay? Think about it. If your lips are being touched with a coal, not that will hurt, but that will cleanse, because this is what is happening, okay? Thank you. Now we're done. You can go to Sunday school. We are now